Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. I recently finished reading 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. As you probably know, this is already a long book, clocking in at almost 1,000 pages. To be fair to Murakami, when it was originally published in Japan, it was 3 books. The first 2 were published in 1 year, and the following 3rd chapter was published the year afterwards. And then when it came to America, somebody had the brilliant idea of, nope, we're going to slap them all together as a single hardcover edition. I don't know if that was what made it how do I put this? Overall, this might be the one Murakami book that I don't like. And I've read more than half of them. And this one, I waited on. I believe I bought the hardcover edition for $1 back in 2015. Bought an audio book 6 months ago from thriftbooks.com because I knew I wouldn't be able to sit down and read this thing. It was going to have to be an audio book. It was going to have to be in segments. And I did have to take a break after I finished the first book as an audiobook, because I became frustrated as to where the hell is this going? So you have 2 main characters, Aomame and Tango. And they were in the same class together in grade school. And they never forgot about each other. And they're both 30 years old. One is I would call them a physical therapist. That's Aomame. I don't know. Seeing it on paper, it looks like Aomame. But then in the audiobook, it's Aomame. And then Tango, he's an inspiring writer who gets caught up in basically a get rich slowly over time, but oops, we overestimated the book scheme. Then there's this cult that they don't really go into all that much. Sex with underage girls. The Kicker, book 2. Book 2 was rough for me. Aomame, she's supposed to kill the leader of this cult. And it turns into the longest massage ever in history. Chapter after chapter of her talking to this dude, and they have this conversation. And it keeps going and going. And even when it comes to like movie scripts, traditionally, a page of a movie script is about a minute of screen time. Kind of gives you an idea as to how long a movie script should be, depending on how long the movie is. However, an hour massage, I don't know how many hours I listened to her in the room with him, talking and talking and talking and talking and talking some more after that. The biggest fault, and this is where I think the 3 books issue comes in. I think it's 3 books. It is something that you'd read one, wait for the next one to come out, catch up, read that one. But trying to plug through all of it, 36 CDs, I think it was like 38 hours of audio. A full-time job if you were to read it 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But I don't want to be one of those people it was too long. But dear God, like the story that was told, looking back at what was said, what happens in the story, I don't know why it was 900 and some odd pages. And there really wasn't that much God, there wasn't that much to it. There wasn't that much substance. It was overall a very simple story. One of the most irritating parts of it was when they were actually describing the book of Eric Chrysalis. And I was like, this sounds like some Neil Gaiman shit. What else? There have been some people that said that, Aomame was like the one character that he could really connect with, and I'm like, I have never met a woman like this. Where she's hanging out with this cop. Maybe it's because I don't go to the same places that people like this go to, but she's hanging out with this woman that's a cop, right? They purposely go out to the clubs and they're like, hey, because they're both wanting to get laid. That was their intention. They openly say that. They just want to go out, pick up a guy, and get their pipes cleaned. And then the cop, out of the two of them, has the idea of like, why don't we just find guys together? So of course, in the book, there's some foursome action going on. Aomame is like passing out and things are still happening. She wakes up in one instance, and keep in mind, this is a woman who kills people as like a hobby side profession type thing, right? She's an assassin. And yet, reading this book, there's this moment where she's trying to figure out what happened the night before. And I'm like, in any other circumstance, the woman would basically be thinking like, oh, I was raped. I was taken advantage of. Somebody must have slipped me something. I'm pretty darn sure I didn't drink that much. I never would have consented to that. These are some of the things that were in the book. And instead she's like, oh, wow. I must have just been out of my mind. And at one point I remember thinking like, was the cop doing it? And was she like getting off on like watching her being taken advantage of? Because I could see that. There are people out there that are like that. There's no closure for like, spoiler alert. There's no closure for when the cop is murdered. Like you're thinking like, oh, Aomame, she's an assassin, she's a killer. She goes out and she hunts people down, especially ones that are bad to women. She doesn't even bother looking for the killer of her friend. Like, that doesn't even come to mind. That's not a priority. Her only friend, one that she goes to the club with, one that she had sexual encounters with, is found murdered in a room. And nothing. Absolutely nothing. Tango I could kind of connect with. Being a writer, living, in his case, living alone, but 30 years of age. I was single 30 years of age. Wasn't writing yet. I kind of know that life. That I could connect with. The ending, oh my God. Spoiler alert, I have so many issues with the ending. Tango ends up with Aomame. And in any other reality outside of this book, he meets her. She tells this whole story of how she's pregnant with his kid, yet they haven't seen each other since grade school. They've never had that kind of interaction, right? But she's preggo. And she's just like, oh, you just have to trust me. I'm like, well, Arthur must be out of his mind. Because he goes along with it. And aside from seeing 2 moons, he really hasn't had any supernatural stuff going on, right? Like, if anything, he should be more concerned about anybody finding out about that underage girl that he had sex with. But nah, he goes with her, Aomame. She's preggo. And then he doesn't even know that she murders people. He's with a psycho. He is with a complete psycho. He's just like, I've been thinking about you since grade school. It's quite the messed up book. And I know there's fans out there that have made like these weird, like, fan-made based documentaries on like the characters and the lives that they live. I remember this book was a big deal when it came out. Everybody was raving about it. I think a lot of it was people claiming to have read it just for like literary street cred. Me, I don't like reading books when they first come out. Sometimes movies and TV shows, I will wait a few years before I watch them because I don't want to be influenced by other people's opinions on like, oh, that show's great. Watch it a few years later, not so much. It's kind of how I feel about this book. Oh, you got to read it like in the time, man. No, that's the thing with books, is like you should be able to pull it off the shelf. If it's written well, if it has a good story, if you can connect with the characters, it really shouldn't matter. Gatsby, that one I can connect with. Good Lord, I knew all those people. The Great Gatsby is one hell of a book. Is it fair to compare 1Q84 to The Great Gatsby? No. But these characters, good Lord. I understand it was supposed to be like a alternate reality, some other mystical world where there's these little people and all this 2 moon stuff going on. It was a bit much. And I've liked Murakami's previous work. I like his short stories. Some of his other novels I really enjoyed. However, this one, Not for me. I felt bad for Tango at the end. I was like, oh, you're going with her. Ooh, that's rough. Waiting for the sequel. I'm waiting for Volume 4 to come out. She's like, oh yeah, I used to have foursomes all the time. And I was with two dudes at once, and this stuff happened, and yeah, the drugs would come out, and Tango's like, I lived alone writing books where it was peaceful, and I enjoyed my life. It was simple. What did I get myself into? Basically, it's the 1984 version of you start dating somebody, she tells you some bullshit story of like, I'm pregnant and it's your baby. Dude, I just met you. You gotta trust me, it's yours. Did I mention I was on OnlyFans? The other thing, and this is the last thing I'll point out, is that book three got weird because all of a sudden there's three stories. There's Tango, there's Aomame, and then there's the private investigator. And by the end of book 3, you're all wondering, like, why was this even in here? It didn't make any sense. This character comes in, he does his job, and then he's, I'm like, that was absolutely pointless. He served no purpose whatsoever. I have a few more comic books to read. I've got a couple of more audiobooks of his to read as well. But unfortunately, this was not his high point. Not for me. And I don't know. Is it his fault? Nah. Is it the marketing? Maybe. Is it how it was released in the US? Could be. Overall, I think the three books were an issue. But that's how it was published, and that's how it probably was meant to be. I think the best thing for me was to have taken a break after the first book. But then after the first book, I'm like, I just need to get this over with. Because if book 2 is anything like book 1, which, yeah, pretty much, I don't know if I would have read the third one. So anyways, that's my review of 1Q84. If you're interested in Murakami or you've been waiting to read it, give it a shot. It might be your thing, but it's not one of his better books. I can recommend several others that you'll probably enjoy more. It sucks. It's, have to give it to him. They did some really good marketing on this. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting better. So anyways, that's it for me. Keep on typing.